This week on Waxing the Porpoise, G-Baby and the usual suspect Steve once again welcome Miles to the show, a man whose insides cut sharper than a surgeon's scalpel to help us pass the blood test and review the once reviled and now widely celebrated John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. Join us as we learn what four and a baby means by way of one of the many Porpoise patron saints, Young Jeezy, stand in awe of Rob Bottin's absolute unit of a hairpiece, and discuss more of the background of The Thing, including why it was so poorly received initially and now is one of the most highly revered horror films of all time. The porpoises, midnight companions and keen observers, dare to overcome cabin fever and widespread paranoia in this journey through the frozen wastelands where shapeshifters lurk, trust is a rare commodity, and the only thing colder than the ice is G-Baby's ex's heart.
Allow me to break the ice.
Could you spot a guava in a lineup full of exotic fruits? Let's wax this porpoise from another world.
Chase, don't do that.
You see, we working on his brow chakra. We're just in back of the crown chakra.
I know this guy knows
Using knowledge is limited at best.
Yeah, I know he knows thug motivation like the back of his hand. So I tried to really get some choice nugs.
Hell yeah.
This time. So, and if you got anything like tidbits or anything about like the Apocalypse trilogy or like just anything, any of your secret wisdom about the Thing that you want to go off on, fucking
I've got a bunch
let it
of
rip.
periphery knowledge about the related media too, like the book and the original from the 50s, and there's
the
a video
Howard
game
Hawks movie.
Yeah, and there's a video game spinoff, and
okay, cool. Because that's one thing I didn't focus on at all this time, so that'll be nice to have that. So I'm not talking out of my asshole as per usual. All right, let's get this thing going. Let me take a little swaggle of something, and then we'll hit it.
What you sipping on, Malort?
Oh no, never again. I remember I swore that off, and I mean it. No, I still got some of that Dan Aykroyd Crystal Head.
oh nice.
And I've been searching for it, and I couldn't find it. Like I was like, look, I had stooped to like looking up grocery stores online inventory to see if they had it, kind of shit. Like, and I finally found it was Mountain Dew Baja Blast, but it's like one of their variants. This is the Caribbean Splash, Baja Caribbean Splash with guava. I was
Sounds
like, dude,
disgusting.
I need to have, dude. It's
I'm not a Mountain Dew
delicious.
person.
I'm not either, but only for Baja Blast. And then ever since they started coming out with these, like they have like a passion fruit Baja, and they have this one, and then something else. But yeah, I go nuts for it. And the fucking Mountain Dew Voodoo, the like Halloween like mystery flavor that they've done for a few years. I got that in zero sugar, and it tastes like Swedish fish.
Oh my god.
It's so bomb. Delicious.
The only way I feel like this shit could get worse is if it's zero sugar. Oh my god. I'll pray for your diarrhea.
Sucralose.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch my figure.
Ugh. God, that sounds disgusting.
It's pretty bomb, dude. Guava?
I thought once you moved to the Midwest you had to drink nothing but Faygo.
They do have that shit out here, man. It's pretty unreal. Like they have whole aisles at Meijer, which is like the Midwest Target. They're Faygo for days.
You could show me a picture of a guava. I wouldn't know what the fuck it was.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck a guava looks like.
It looks on the outside like the rind and the flesh. It looks like a mango. So picture a mango, but it's a bit tougher than a mango. But then on the inside, I mean, it looks like a cooter. It's pink and it's got black seeds that kind of go up in a canoe shape. So Yeah. But guavas are fucking bomb, man. They're like a cross between like a papaya and something else that I can't put my finger on, but it's like that kind of tropical, but it doesn't go in the mango direction. Like I feel like a papaya and guava, like that's a fork in the road.
Gotcha.
Where it's more my style, but
fascinating.
I remember Safeway back on the West Coast.
Yeah. Going back to it. More guava talk.
No exotic fruits, dick. No.
Has ever had a lychee berry?
Yeah, like the Knob Hill or whatever. There, they'd have like an exotic. They'd have like 3 or 4 fruits that were like crazy, like a cherimoya, and like Asian pears or like those little fucking fat bananas that are like red and shit. Like every once in a while, I'd get a wild hair and I'd just pick one at random, just go nuts, you know. So cherimoyas are fucking gross. So I will say that, dude. It's like that jackfruit. I think it's in that family where it's like you can substitute it for like
meat, yeah.
And it's got a weird kind of like custard, like banana yet fibrous thing going on. That's just it's not very appealing.
Like a plantain.
Yeah, only worse because I like plantains pretty good, especially if they're fried in fat and butter.
I like pig's feet.
All right, well, that's enough
exotic fruit talk.
Yeah, exotic fruits corner. Welcome back to Waxing the Porpoise. We are on episode 75. We're talking about The Thing this evening, and we brought on a special guest to help us cover our lack of knowledge in this area in horror and cosmic horror. So first, you got myself, Jim G. Baby.
Oh my God.
What?
You're from the 60s.
And of course, we have the usual suspect, Steve.
Just ask about so.
How's it going, man?
Doing wonderful. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Hanging in there. And then, as I alluded to earlier, we have a special guest. We have brought on Miles yet again to talk about The Thing.
New York was great. What the hell happened?
Fuck you.
I don't know if you recognize that one, and the audio is shit, but I was like, I want to play it anyway.
What was that?
It was someone at a con was asking a question to John Carpenter and said,
is that where he's asking about Escape from LA?
Yeah. I couldn't find a better version of that, but basically, yeah, he's like, hey, we were on board with Escape from New York, but what happened with Escape from LA? Come on. And he's all, fuck you. Just like right off the top. Classic.
Douchey question to ask.
Yeah. But in classic Carpenter curmudgeon form, he was right on it. So how's it going, man? Thank you again for joining us on short notice. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I happy to come and talk about this movie that no one has heard of before.
Yeah. The Thing? Never heard of her. Yeah, I'm excited. I know you're a huge fan of this, and you had said in the past you wanted to come on for this, which helps me because I'm not the foremost Thing fan, or not super knowledgeable about it, but I just don't think I like it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy this flick a lot. I think it's great. I just don't think I like it as much as some other people I know. Like I'm not super huge on the whole cosmic horror trip. I think it's cool, but it's not my favorite. It's not what gets me my horror juices pumping, I guess. But
right,
there is more to it than that. But anywho, yeah, that's what we'll be talking about tonight. And before we do, I wanted to get into a second round of Finish the Lyric, Young Jeezy edition. Are you ready, Steve?
Sure.
Want to get right into it?
Pressure's on.
All right. So this is from...
this is going to be like the least interesting thing for people to listen to in the world. That doesn't mean I don't want to do it.
I've added a wrinkle at the end. I added a bonus question, which I think will be fun. But so first track, we'll go three tracks again for review. This is all from Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101 album from 2003. So this is from the track Last of a Dying Breed. I see death around the corner and I ain't scared. I got a carbon 15 and I'm fully prepared. Lord of Mercy, 20 rounds in a clip. Out of line, get.
Oh man, it would be helpful if I could hear it. Not to diminish your elocution of it, but it's just not quite the same.
My slam poetry, Young Jeezy.
Yeah,
I got a carbon 15 and I'm fully prepared. That's right. Lord of Mercy, 20 rounds in the clip. Yeah. Out of line, get.
Man, I don't know.
20 rounds in your hip. Hey.
Yeah.
No? Okay. All right. Second one. This is from Air Forces.
Yeah.
Keep bread so we carry them toasters, but keep back though.
I don't know exactly what he says, but he says like my hair is my something is ferocious. I don't know what he's saying.
He's saying my earrings, but he's rapping it where it's like harangues.
Yeah.
Keep bread so we carry them toasters, but keep back though my earrings ferocious. Yeah, he enunciates it like super crazy.
Well, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. That's one I picked out. I was like, yes, that'll be one.
Well, and then it doesn't it go into like one night, 8 bitches, 10 bottles of Chris, 40 grand spent just to make you glance at my wrists.
Yeah.
True wordsmith of our time. I can't believe that album was from 2003. Holy shit.
Yeah, man. Fucking 20-year Annie. All right, so third and final, we got this is from Trapstar. I know you're probably not going to get this one, but this is fun. Run the streets all day. I don't get no sleep. Eat at.
What does he say? Like spun dinners 4 times a week or something like that. I don't know what he's saying. And I've apparently been singing the words wrong for 20 years. So
yeah.
Spun differs or something like that.
Divots, which I guess is a seafood and steak restaurant, high end in Atlanta, Georgia, that he used to go to all the time. But I love the way he says it, like eat at Spawn Divots 4 times a week. So you were right there with the Spawn Divots, kind of.
Phonetically, I was in the ballpark at least.
Okay, the last part, this is bonus snowman trivia. So I'm just going to read these 2 verses and then pose you the question and see if you can answer. So I can't remember what song this is from, but
if you haven't listened to this album, it's so bad, but it's so good. It's so fucking good.
It's a fucking banger. Like you can just this is a no skipper. Keep the white girl, yeah, forever my lady. 2 grand flat, get you 4 and a baby.
Yeah.
What does 4 and a baby mean?
For 2 grand.
If you decide to phone a black guy, I'm the wrong one. I don't fucking know.
I didn't know this.
Each time we play this game, I always feel like he's going to try to trick me into trying to say like a racial slur or something.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say props to Jim because you're a better man than I would for not picking any lyrics that ended the N-word.
I'm going to say like some slang that I don't realize is like super offensive.
Yeah.
So 2 grand flat gets you 4 and a baby.
Come on.
Kilograms?
You're on the right track, but
ounces.
in the interest of not belaboring this segment, which is crushing right now, four and a baby means this phrase refers to an eighth of a kilo of cocaine, approximately 125 grams, which breaks down to 4 full ounces, in addition to the 13 gram, which is just short of a half ounce. Thus, the baby refers to the short half ounce.
Well, and I think the lyrics go on to say, like, 5,000 for the pound gets you curb service. And then he says, I sell a lot of grass like I got a lawn service. Nobody sells, like, that's not how a lawn service works.
Yeah, you're taking it away. You're getting rid of that.
That's just the kind of lyrical genius you folks are missing out on.
Man.
Oh, man.
That's like half of the entertainment, though. Like, some of it is just fun to listen to, and some of it's like, wait, what? That doesn't...
Dude, that shit fucking slaps, though. Like, if you're, like, trying to, like, just put your head down and get some work done, like, yeah.
Or drive aggressively and get mad at other people. It's good for that.
Just try and sound tough as fuck. Cool. So that was our Young Jeezy.
Sorry about that.
Finished the lyric that we'll probably retire now. Before we get into the thing, what have you guys been up to? Anything you guys want to talk about before we get into the flick? What's new? What do you hear? I'll start. I just went to I went this past weekend to the 40th anniversary of Christine, was playing in select theaters, and we've covered that probably around this time last year. We covered Christine, and I took my brother-in-law Carl and my nephew Landon, and we had a fucking ball. So that was awesome
for the younger generation.
They well, Landon, he's 14. He dug it. Like,
okay.
there's a lot of parts he's actually laughing. Like some of the vernacular. One in particular, like the old fucker at the Darnell at the chop shop. He's like, listen, I know you don't have money exactly falling out of your asshole. Like, he fucking lost it at that part. There's a couple parts where he really got a good kick out of it. But yeah,
that's your favorite. That's your favorite Carpenter, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. It's like top 2 or 3. It fluctuates, but I think because of the recency, I had just watched that one within the last 3 years, and so it shot right up to the top. Kind of, it's like the hot hand. I'll go with that one. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It was super cool being able to. I've never lived in a big enough city where they have like more than one type of theater chain or like independent places where they'll go and they'll play older films, just like on a one-off kind of thing. So when I saw Regal was doing that, I fucking jumped on it and bought tickets like 3 weeks ago. So yeah, it was fun. Super fun experience.
I love Fathom events.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, especially if you don't have it, like you said, an indie theater that show, or like an Alamo or something that shows older movies regularly. Yeah, I was living in Raleigh, North Carolina for the past 4 months, and they have an Alamo there. It's the only one. I think it's the only one. I mean, it's definitely the only one in North Carolina. I think it's one of the only ones in the South, and I fucking love that theater, man. Like, I'd fallen out of love with going to the theater just because poor experiences, but fuck, the Alamo is so great. Like, it kind of spoiled me because like just everybody's super respectful there. Like, I've never had anybody issue talking. And they show curated like special movies a couple times a week. Like Tuesday nights they show horror movies. Wednesdays they'll show kind of cult movies. And I think in the 4 months I went there, I went to the movie like 25 times or something like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've heard a lot about Alamos. It was like I'd never heard what that was, and for maybe like 5 or 10 years ago, and like realized like it's like the place you want to go, like the moviegoers movie house kind of place. Like, they don't put up with no shit, and like you can't be like loud and like what's like an experience that makes it so much different from just going to like the show, a regular theater.
it's hard to say. I mean, it's well, for one, they make a big deal out of they will have a special message before the movie, like, hey, don't talk or we're gonna have to ask you to leave. Like, if you see anybody talking on their phone, hit the button, just let us know, write it on a card, and if it gets to that point, we'll kick somebody out. We'll kick them out if it gets to that. Just everybody be cool and enjoy the movie. And it's fun. And the message is usually like funny. Like they'll have like actors and like directors and stuff like record like special messages just for Alamo. Like when I went to see Talk to Me, they had the directors. They're like, yeah, guys, don't be dicks. Like, just watch our movie. Like, chill out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
When you say hit the button, does every seat have like a silent alarm button on it?
Well, so they have a pretty extensive, like, they have a whole kitchen there. They have like a whole like kitchen with full. It's like a restaurant almost. So they have like burgers and pizza and stuff, and you can and drinks on tap and stuff. So you can hit the button, and if you want to order something, you write it on a card. They come and it gets the card. So
yeah, it's like a studio movie grill. If you're
if you wanted to complain about somebody, you'd hit the button and then write on the card like, get this motherfucker in 11J out of here.
Yeah,
right.
These two bogeys right here.
Yeah, but in all the times I went, I never saw anybody, talk. Or I saw one person on their phone one time, but that was about it. And the multiple times I went, but yeah, it's sick.
I've always wondered.
I thought they were going to expand to like San Francisco. I don't know if that happened or if that got put on hold because of the pandemic, but I saw they were supposed to expand to like one or two other like bigger cities outside of the South. But
so in these theaters that serve food, is the lighting? Do they go fully like pitch black, or do they leave it kind of low?
The Alamo's interesting because it has lights under the seat, so it has like on the armrest there's lights lining the seat, so it's not where it's shining in your face, but if you look down, like your waist and stuff is kind of illuminated, so it's not distracting, because and just the way they position them, you can't really see it, I guess, unless you're like looking down.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to my experience. I've only gone to one like that. It's called the Studio Movie Grill. Yeah, where they have food, and it's got like a little like an airplane or like one of those old school desks where it's got a little flip out thing that you can use as a table, and it has like a button embedded. So it's pretty cool though. Like if you just want to fucking have a drink or like top off my beer or something, somebody comes right over and they duck down, and it's pretty. It doesn't take away from the experience, which at first I thought it was. I was like, this is pretty fucking gimmicky. I was like, I want to go watch a movie. I don't want to fucking eat and have people like ordering and blah, blah. It's really not like that. You can hardly tell.
You didn't get a big old plate of spaghetti to eat in the middle of a movie?
No. I got nachos one time, which in the dark was a fucking mistake.
Yeah.
Salsa and fucking like jalapeno bits like all over me and shit like that.
And you can't divvy up the proportions the way you'd like for the chips.
Yeah, and it was kind of a Big Daddy situation too, like quiet parts, like spoken, like where people are just like in a room. You're just like, shit. Wait for a bomb to go off. Yeah, that's cool. I'm envious. I've always wanted to go. Just besides that, like all the different variety of cool shit that they play, like that's fucking just the idea of that and getting to go experience something that you missed because you're too young to have seen it in the theater is pretty cool that you get another chance at that. But Steve, you got anything? When's the last time you went to the show, Oppenheimer?
Yep, that was the last one I went to. I think the next one, I mean, the only thing out right now that looks interesting to me is obviously The Equalizer 3.
I haven't heard shining reviews for that one.
Heretics. I'm sure it's gonna be a delight.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for streaming on that one, I think. But even though it is the patron saint, Denzel.
Yeah. You can do no wrong.
That's right. All right. Well, why don't we just get into this thing here? So the movie again needs no introduction. The Thing from 1982. Do you want to start us off on a little bit of like the background from like it was a short story first, and then it was adapted in like the 50s. This is a big blind spot to me too.
Yeah,
I only know that Howard Hawks was the director of the first one.
So
and it came from a book.
I forget exactly when the book was written. I should probably have that information. So it started.
I think it was like 32 or something like the 30s. I want to say.
I think
like,
so.
That could be wrong.
I think so. It was a short story. It got adapted. I forget the name of the director. Who a lot of people think Howard Hawks directed the 50s version, but his name is actually isn't. He's producing. It's almost like and I can't remember the director's name off the top of my head, but it's almost like a Toby Hooper, Steven Spielberg type of situation with Poltergeist.
Oh, with Poltergeist,
where people think he shadow directed it. So
right.
A lot of people think Howard Hawks actually like shadow directed that movie and not the actual director that's on it. But a lot of people think because that means Howard Hawks is the thing from another world. But a lot of people don't. He's not the actual director listed on it. The name of the actual director is blanking on me. But yeah, they adapted it. The Thing from Another World is from the 50s. Pretty well known, influential sci-fi movie from the time. It is not. It's not that faithful to the book. Like it has the same setup, but the whole shape-shifting aspect of it is not in that movie. Just because it's the 50s. Like how the fuck are you gonna do that?
Right.
So it's the creature in it is he's like a vegetable man, I guess. He's it's like a humanoid like creature, but they find out he is actually like he's not an animal. It's like plant life. So it's like
gotcha.
So he's like a walking plant.
Fucking Groot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So so that was really influential. John Carpenter loved it as a kid, and if you ever watch Halloween, the original Halloween, the kids that Jamie Lee Curtis is babysitting are watching the original of The Thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they're watching The Thing from the 50s because John Carpenter was a big fan of that. And then this movie, I think they had been floating around remaking it for a couple of years, like late 70s, early 80s. And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I think Toby Hooper was attached to it for a while. And I think it was supposed to be a comedy. And I think it eventually came to John Carpenter, and he
stamped that shit out pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it could have been a very different movie. But the John Carpenter's, the 80s one, this one is I think it's a lot more faithful to the short story. I tried reading the short story. They actually found, this was like 5 years ago, they found a longer novella version of it, so it's like twice as long as the original short story that was known for years, and they kind of released this extended version of it called Frozen Hell, I think it is. But I tried reading that, and that shit was boring as fuck. I couldn't. I didn't finish it. I'm gonna have to go back and try to read the actual short story because, like, I'm like, god damn, like I don't know if the rest of it's that boring, but I'm like, I can tell why he cut this shit out. Like, it's really dry.
Nice, cool. Well, that's interesting background on it, and bringing it back to Toby Hooper connection. I didn't. Anything from like the 30s and I hear short story, I'm like, fuck, that'll probably just put me right into a coma.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like the 50s kind of stuff, I'm still a little jaded, and like I just think I've been proven wrong with stuff, but like I don't know. I think my attention span's just fucking fried for that kind of thing.
It's definitely dated. Like it definitely is of its time into the 50s horror movie, but the dialogue surprisingly feels pretty modern, and it's got a couple like legitimately creepy scenes in it.
Right on.
Yeah, and I think that movie. I'm pretty sure, but I think that movie has the first on-screen like full body like fire stunt ever put on film.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
they lit a motherfucker on fire. Like, they'd never done that in a movie before, and I think that's the first movie that did that.
Damn, man. Can you imagine being the first wave? Like, what kind of protocols?
Set you on fire and film.
Yeah, they just actually... You're going to be on fire.
Hopefully
then we'll put you out.
Hopefully it was done intentionally and not like, oh shit, we accidentally lit this guy on fire.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Leave it in.
Leave it in.
Leave
Looks
it in.
cool.
Oh, fuck. Well, so I guess cutting to the chase, what do you think of this one, Steve?
Yeah, I liked it. Of course, I can see why it's a classic. I think I would like it more when I rewatch it later on. I think it's one of those.
Oh yeah.
I was definitely conscious when I was watching it of trying to keep track of who everybody was and matching names to faces. And I remember when I was watching it, like, I think I'm going to have a hard time remembering who's who. And especially since, like we've talked about before, when you go on IMDb, these pictures are 40 years outdated of what they looked like at the time, which, if there's some enterprising young person out there who wants to make like an IMDb page that's like a time capsule to what these actors look like at the time of the movie you're looking at, that would be helpful. But I enjoyed it quite a bit. I will say I liked it. I didn't love it. I think I also kind of have the same thing as Jim, where the whatever you called it, I don't remember what you called it, but
cosmic horror.
That doesn't necessarily tickle my fancy the same way.
That makes sense because you're not big into sci-fi as we've found as we've gone along. But
no, but it was really good, and so I have the memory of a goldfish. So even though our buddy Josh has told me to watch this movie a million times, and you've talked about it, when I sat down to watch it, Kurt Russell's name pops up, like, oh, sweet. And then Carpenter, I'm like, oh, sweet. And then when I got really excited was when I saw the guy who did the music, is Morricone, the guy who did the music in Orca, which we fucking love. I don't know what he was doing in this movie. I think he spent most of the time off, but
he's got a couple bangers in here.
It doesn't sound like his work.
No, I mean, even just like the bass line, the little bass riff.
That shit's fucking sick.
I like that for sure. But yeah, I was definitely expecting a little bit more out of our boy Enriel, or whatever his name is.
Dude, that's funny you say that, because I feel like I should have known that, like, dead to rights, but I always just figured because Carpenter does so much of his own music for his films, and this isn't like fully in that vein, but it doesn't sound like a Ennio Morricone. It sounded like a more subtle kind of like that synth, like slowed down and like paced for this movie.
Yeah,
it sounds
like a John Carpenter score.
Yeah, I totally. I thought, and like this time after watching this, probably, I don't know, half dozen, eight or 10 times I've seen this probably. I was going through the credits and it said Ennio Morricone. I was like, what the fuck? That one totally blindsided me. And then I kind of went back and looked at it, and I thought it's an interesting story how he got him to score this. Carpenter got Morricone to score this, but yeah, it totally surprised me because it doesn't have his kind of signature at all.
Well, and one of the pieces of trivia I read said that his score was like so not well received that it was nominated for a Razzie, which I don't appreciate. But
no,
maybe.
I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about this entire film, and everything about it was kind of lame-basted and pissed all over during the time, and only in like the last 10, 15, 20 years it's got this resurgence, and like
really?
It's been revered, and like the respect
trashed.
level.
It got trashed when it first came out. Everybody hated this movie. It didn't make any money, and like it changed John Carpenter's career trajectory, because this was like his first like really big budget movie. Like, he had a bunch of success with Halloween and The Fog, and they were like, okay, let's see what this motherfucker can do when we give him like a giant budget. He's remaking like one of his favorite movies from a kid, and people fucking hated it. Like people fucking hated this movie when it came out, and he had a hard time with the studios after that. And I think it kind of fucked with his confidence too, because I mean, this is him at the peak of his like directing powers, and like I really think he's proud of this movie, and to make it and just have people just shit all over it. I really think it kind of fucked with his mojo a little bit, because I don't think I mean, he had some really good movies after this, but I don't think he ever recovered. Like,
interesting.
Yeah, I could see that totally, and you could make the argument against maybe too, because I feel like he did have some bangers all the way up through like the early and mid 90s, but that's really it. So I guess you could say like I feel like off just before this he was really riding a wave, but I think given the fact that he was so passionate and that he got all this money, like it was an opportunity to really cement himself, or to push him to that like next level, if this would have been received well right out of the gate. But because I think there's a few things after this that were pretty dope that he did too, like They Live. What was Christine? That was 83, so that was 1 year after this. I thought that was, I mean, that's one of my favorites. But yeah, it is one of. I was trying to think of an example of a film that got shit all over right when it came out, and in the later years has become more revered. I can't really think of a good one.
I can't think one on this scale. This is the only movie I know on this scale, because not only is it like, did the public opinion turn around on it? Like, I mean, it's the number one ranked horror movie on most review aggregates, like Letterboxd. I think if it's not number one, it's in the top 5. Like IMDb, I'm sure it's in the top 5. Like most lists, it's in the top 10, top 5. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like
came around
the variance from being shit on to not just like, looked at more favorably, but it's like it's kind of almost on an island of how popular and how like the creature effects, the plot, the direction. It's pretty wild. Like I struggle to think of something that is that.
So I'm surprised to hear you say that, because when I looked it up, it's got an 8.2 on IMDb, which, as we've talked about, is like rarefied air. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 85 with the critics and 92 with the people. So I just assumed this was universally beloved. So what do you think caused the reputational increase in the last 10 or 15 years?
I'd say probably public opinion probably turned around maybe in the 90s. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe when it coincided with its first DVD release or something, and it got like a wider audience.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I guess it'd be one of those things where, I mean, especially with the internet too, I guess just I guess it was just enough people were like, hey, the thing's fucking awesome, right? And like, yeah, I really like that. And I guess enough people just kind of just came to that conclusion on their own, where at a certain point everybody's like, hold on, this movie's really good, right? And everyone's like, yeah, the movie's really fucking good.
It could be one of those things like, where like like I know Roger Ebert fucking was pretty merciless with this, with his review of this. He's not a big horror guy to begin with, but I mean, he most of the top critics in that time period I went through a list of them, and they're all like really bad, like going out of their way to really kick this movie in the teeth, kind of like, not just like, it wasn't for me, or like it had its problems, like really unloading on like how like gory and like over the top like horror, and it's like baseless, and like, it's for the dregs of society. It's like it's poisoning.
It's really over the top,
yeah, like shit like that. But I know a couple of things that contributed to. So I didn't realize this, but it came out the same week or within 2 weeks of Blade Runner, which itself didn't. That's kind of another one, actually, now that I think about it. Not the same level, I don't think, but Blade Runner is one that got shit on. It released to lackluster reviews, and ticket sales, and now has become, it's got a huge cult following. I mean, they were able to make Blade Runner 2049, which I mean, that's a testament right there. But that is one I think that's similar, not to this scale again, but and then also, so E.T. was the juggernaut that year, which grossed like 350 million. Like it, and it was Aliens also, only it was a friendly one, and it was like people wanted. I think that dissonance between like the most evil, depraved, fucking creature alien kind of feature, and then E.T., this fucking like, you know, phone home, and it's like real
like family
like pulls at
friendly.
your heartstrings.
Yeah, family friendly.
Yeah.
So do you think it was just like an overreaction to like how gory it was, and they just thought like, oh no, this is below us, and then as time goes on, you know, in retrospect, they're like, wow, this actually is a really good movie. And
yeah, that's a good call too, because I
really
don't think
cunty back then.
Yeah, I wonder what else that you could look at that was this gory. So it was pushing an envelope on like the practical effects and like the realism and how graphic it was. So I'm sure that initial, you know, heading out into that and bringing it to the masses is going to be met by, you know, opposition from,
I mean,
like the religious.
Without getting too like up our own asses, it could be a thing where I feel like nowadays this is how the critics treat like comedy movies. You know, like if a funny movie comes out, I don't think anybody's like, this is actually a really good movie. They're like, this is just stupid, you know, cake for the masses. And maybe in the future they'll look back and be like, wow, that actually was a funny movie.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it is a little bit harder to, like, you can't get away with stuff that you could have even like 10 or 15 years ago, or even trying, you know, without, you know, worrying about, you know, it hitting something that you didn't intend, you know, maybe. I mean, Tropic Thunder couldn't make that today, probably. Like, I can't think of another good example like that.
Not to go off on a tangent, but speaking of movies that, not as far as public perception goes, but my own personal opinion, turning around, dude, I don't know what was up my ass that day. I saw Tropic Thunder in the theater. I fucking hated that movie. I was like, this shit is not funny. Yeah, I was like, this shit is not funny. I was like, this is fucking terrible. And like, I do not know what was wrong with me that day. And like, I saw it like when it came out on video. I was like, this movie's fucking hilarious.
That was one I eluded me for a long time. I just watched that in like 2018 for the first time.
Holy shit! Really? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I knew more about like. I knew more about like some of the behind the scenes shit that Robert Downey Jr. did. There's this really weird clip online of him like tracing on a dude's back and like explaining all this weird shit in the bathtub while has him at gunpoint. I think I've shown you that one, Steve, before, where he's like, and this ties back into Daniel verse 3:17. You know, all that. He's just like going full ham. Like, just
I have not seen that.
It's so fucking funny. It's so good.
Yeah, he's like, what do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people?
Dude, you know who? Jamie Foxx has a fucking awesome Robert Downey Jr. impersonation. Oh. Have you ever heard it?
No, I don't know the impersonation.
He can do a grip of people.
But he has a great story about Robert Downey Jr., I think. Right? Or
which one is it?
Jamie Foxx, I'm not sure.
The last thing I heard, it was Jamie Foxx was talking about, he was like, he wanted Robert Downey Jr. He was trying to shoot something with him, and he called Robert Downey Jr. He's like, okay, I want you on this thing, but here's the thing. I want you to play Mexican. And then he did his impersonation of Robert Downey Jr. And he's like, he's the coolest man, you know. He's like, I asked him to do this, but you got to be Mexican. He's like, sure, yeah, fuck it, yeah, let's do it. Like he nails him like perfectly, but I can't remember the rest of the story though. I just remember his impersonation just fucking had me dying. He's like, of course, fuck it, yeah, let's do it. Like he sounds just like him. It's really trippy.
Jamie Foxx doing an impression of Chappelle, and it was fucking spot on. It's so funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just saw Dan Soder. I don't know if you know who that guy is.
Oh,
He
yeah.
fucking does a great Chappelle, man. I was like,
It's
holy
so good.
shit.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. I don't know what got me on that tangent, but yeah, I guess I think there were a few other things that aren't springing to mind, but yeah, this just got caught in the spin cycle of like a perfect storm of competing factors working against the
So could it
success
also
of this
be
film.
one of the 10 billion pieces of trivia that's out there?
Oh yeah.
Like on the IMDb page, when you click 50 more, it just kept fucking going. I gave up after like 1,000. But
Yeah.
one of the interesting ones I found was, I think Miles was talking earlier about the budget was enormous. So it was $15 million back in 1982, and to compare that to other horror films of the time, Friday the 13th was $700,000, and Carpenter's original Halloween in 1978, $375,000.
Damn.
So maybe people knew that the budget was huge and just went in with massive expectations. Maybe that played
Could be
a little piece of it too.
Yeah.
I don't know, because if I hear a movie, they're like, "Oh, the new Mission Impossible, $700 million budget." Like, well, it better be really fucking good. So
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
blockbusters
that's
today
wild.
are being crushed under their own weight. They pump them out so fast and so often, and the budgets are all like $500 million at this point. Like they're not like I think, and this is not to go off another tangent. I think we're going to see a shift in movies now because these like giant blockbusters aren't making their money back, and I think
People are
we're
getting
gonna see
tired
more
of it.
independent stuff and smaller budget stuff. I was reading an article about or I didn't read an article. I think I was watching a video or something. I don't remember, but they're talking about how it was back when Hollywood used to do like the big like budget epics, and they just kind of all blew up. And then the '70s rolled around. It was all kind of more auteur driven, kind of smaller budget things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can almost see the parallel with like, well, maybe it doesn't line up quite perfectly, but it's situated in a good spot, like particularly like horror and like more indie stuff. People willing to take more chances. I feel like you with the resurgence, even of just if you looked at A24, that and their success over the past 10, 15 years, whatever it is, I feel like they've been just like steadily, like they haven't had any major missteps at a time when maybe that's something that can fill in the gap for people that are, burn out and completely they got like superhero overload with all the MCU and all these big budget and going back and trying to remine these franchises like fucking Indiana Jones 17. Dude, that movie sucked, man. I was really bummed. I thought it was terrible. And looking at like how much they put into it and like the fact that they also have to almost match or like go half of what the budget was for marketing. It's like, this is so unsustainable how much you have to make just to fucking
break even. Yeah.
Break even. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, as a guy who doesn't really know anything about movies, looking at the mass appeal stuff, it's just like junk food. Like, yeah, it might taste good, but there's no fucking substance to it at all. So, yeah, you can get a lot of people to buy your Doritos or whatever the new Avengers movie is or whatever, but once they realize, like, oh, there's actually good shit out there that's not, this thing that's being foisted upon everybody, they probably won't come back.
Yeah, not the same capacity. And just before I get
in like 30 years.
Right. And before I get an angry message in my DM, I'm not just talking about Marvel, Heidelberg. I know. I'm not just talking about Marvel. It's a bigger problem than that.
Yeah. I'm talking about
They were cones!
Send your shit to me.
Send it to Steve.
Yeah.
When did you
one
first see
yourself
this movie?
this time.
Yeah, when did you first see this movie, Jim? Did you grow up with it?
No, not really. I think I saw that this was like another Christine situation. Like I probably saw this for the first time in like somewhere between like my later college years, like 2006 to 2008. And it was kind of the same experience like with Steve. There's a lot going on and I was trying to like stay with it. And the thing that I found over the years coming back to it is just to like, because I immediately I want to be like, all right, this time I'm going to see like who did it infect first. I'm going to try to like stay with it and kind of break it down this way. But I eventually, and this time too, I just went in it like completely like numb almost and just let it wash over me. I think that's the best way to enjoy this. And instead of like trying to trace like and what's happening and just let it kind of hit you is the best way. Because, you know, like even all this stuff when people talk about who do you think made it out at the end? It's those two, the Childs and McCready, or like who got infected first. And like there's different theories that are fun to think about. But I think Kurt Russell said it best. And I've seen a quote from him as, you know, because people would always ask him, were you the thing? Or like at the end with you and Childs, which one was the thing? And he's like, I don't think that's the point. Or like, you're missing the point. Like, it doesn't matter which one of us it is, you know, like that's, and I thought that was interesting to think about because like, to me, the end, it's just like, it's like two giants that got into the slugfest and they made it out and it's kind of like mutually assured destruction. Like not either one of them is making it out of that. So they're having a drink and like, you know, kind of a tipping their hat to each other, like respect, you know, like we both played a good game and
accepting their fate.
yeah. Like I think that's the most enjoyable way for me to think about it.
Yeah, and it's intentionally misleading too, because there are parts of the movie. I don't know if either one of you came across this in trivia, but there are parts of the movie where you'll see someone's shadow sneaking up on somebody, and you know, people are like, you know, you're inclined to figure out like whose shadow is that? Like, who does that look like? And it's actually nobody in the cast. It's an extra. Yeah.
What's the guy? Dick Warlock was the first guy. That the dog walks towards, and you only see the shadow. I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. You just like slip like something in that it's like just gonna fuck with people.
Right.
Like, oh, I know it's Norris for sure because of the collar, and like Carpenter's just like sitting back. He's like, oh, this is my buddy Dick. He just had him on set for the day, you know, like.
Right.
Yeah, I really like that scene a lot because that was, I think, the first instance where you're like, okay, I kind of see where this is going. But also, I will say, if I'm in that camp and I see this dog coming in and people are shooting at it and freaking the fuck out trying to kill it, I might not invite it with open arms into our camp. I might
when you think it's like rabies.
At least rabies, yeah. But then it doesn't act rabid either. It acts completely normal. So
yeah, he is pretty fucking chill.
But I might not put it with all my other dogs. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's one I wouldn't have thought of before, just because I'm like, there's so much else to process. But when you say it like that, it's like pretty clear. Like, yeah, these people that don't speak English are firing weapons at this creature.
Unless you thought they were like hunting it for some reason. Like, Jesus, guys.
Yeah.
That
is a pretty good point.
Fun little crossover. The guy who shoots the Norwegian guy in the eye, Gary.
Yeah, I've seen him in other stuff. I can't put my finger on it. I feel like he's played a judge.
Fun little crossover. He was Steve Martin's dad in the classic movie House Sitter, starring Goldie Hawn, wife of Kurt Russell. Fun.
Well, longtime girlfriend.
Yeah, whatever. Partner.
What do they call that? Common law?
Yeah.
Isn't that what you and your old lady are? Common law married?
There's no such thing in California. They recognize other states' common law marriage, but they don't impose that in our state.
Huh.
They're too busy fucking up everything else in California. No time for that type of thing.
Right.
That's pretty interesting, though, that connection. Like, there's a couple other things I don't think that'll connect that wild. But
House Sitter rules. I don't know if you've seen it, but
I'm a House Sitter fan. I saw that in the theater with my mother, and we had a great time.
That one is a blind spot for me.
It's like
it's
like
okay.
House Guest kind of, only without Sinbad, and flip it for a female perspective, and it's Goldie Hawn.
So probably better.
Oh man, I haven't thought about that movie in forever. It's no Captain Ron, I'll say that.
Captain Ron sucks.
No way. Really?
Yeah. My old lady's
I like
really
Captain
upset
Ron.
when she hears that.
That's a guilty pleasure. So I have a fun connection to this. I've wanted to talk about this for a while. I haven't been able to slot it in, but the dude who handles all the dogs, Clark.
Mm-hmm.
You guys might have seen him in other stuff. He's a character actor. He's been in a ton of things, but his name's Richard Mazer. I know him best as he was Dan Aykroyd's brother in the My Girl flicks, which is
really
a favorite in our hood, in our family. He's great in that, but he is in one of my favorite anthology episodes. It's Amazing Stories, which is like Spielberg produced.
Mm-hmm.
I think Richard Donner helped produce in there. But they did 2 seasons back in, I think it was 85. But Richard Mazer, the dude who plays Clark, he was in an episode opposite Gregory Hines in an episode called The Amazing Fallsworth, where he plays a serial killer and Gregory Hines plays like a magician and like he can read minds and shit, but he really can. And the serial killer comes in and he's like reading people's thoughts and shit. And he sees this dude and he sees that he like just choked this woman out in the street, like just before he came into the comedy show. He's just trying to like lay low for a second. And it's a cat and mouse thing. Really good. I mean, the Amazing Stories isn't specifically a horror anthology, but I think there's like 40 episodes that they did. There's a sprinkling that are like Twilight Zone, like Outer Limits kind of horror that really kind of scratch that itch. And he's great in that one. And which made me think of, there's the most horror one that I highly recommend. I think it's on YouTube or Vimeo. There's an episode, I think it's episode 19 from the first season. It's called Mirror Mirror with Sam Waterston, who people will know him.
Law and Order.
Law and Order. He played one of the main DAs for a lot of years. He's been in other shit too. His daughter is the gal who was the main lead in Alien Covenant. They look pretty similar. She wears like a short bob, but anyway, he's in that episode Mirror Mirror, and I was looking it up, directed by Martin Scorsese, and I was like, holy shit balls, dude. It's a great episode, and knowing that Scorsese did that is like kind of blew my mind a little bit. It's very like it's very like a Hitchcock tinged, like quick hitter, like 23 minutes. It's fucking awesome. Anyway, that was my wild tangent that I wanted to loosely connect to the thing somehow to Clark, but I always thought that he was infected, and that one always throws me through a loop when
he never gets infected.
When he gets capped and then they fucking test him. I'm like, god damn, I always thought he was, because he's a fucking creep in a couple scenes. They're really trying to paint him like he was, like in some of the like the first third of the movie.
Dude, Wilford Brimley in this movie, he plays Blair. He has he fucking kills me every time. He has the funniest fucking reactions when you see him realize what is going on, when he realizes how fucked they are, and he looks at Clark and he's like, "How long were you with that dog?" And his eyes just get real big, and he goes, "Why?" He goes, "No reason." Like, his eyes just fucking
no reason
kill me.
at all, Clark.
And when he starts freaking out and starts trying to destroy everything.
Yeah.
Keith David's like, "You don't want to hurt anybody." He turns around and shoots the door.
Oh fuck! I'm getting the hell out of here. Yeah.
I'll kill you,
dude. that one of the things that this time I was like, I didn't want to do this, but one of the things I was thinking about is the very first scene of The Thing when it's getting all fucking wild in that dog pen and shit's coming out of it. What about that fucking thing that hops through the ceiling? It's like Thing 2, you know, like it.
Yeah.
One of them goes for the dogs and then it gets set on fire, but then these big ass like arms, a big chunk of this fucker goes out through the top. We never know what the fuck happens with that. Like, to me, there's a couple points where I was like, it could have infected a bunch of people, or like it could have got out. Like to me, like boiling it down at the end to Childs and McCready, I feel like was kind of moot at that point, because I was like, what about that other thing?
Well, and I mean, they point out that it doesn't have to necessarily absorb you. They point out that a single cell from it can end up infecting you, because the movie, and I never realized this when I saw it, like when I was younger, but the movie doesn't take place over that long a period of time. Like, shit goes from 0 to 100 like really fast. I think it's like a day or something that it takes place. But they bring up like, yeah, we're gonna have to make our own food because like somebody could like drop their blood in our food and something and infect us. So yeah, I mean, there are pieces of this thing everywhere. Even the part where they're taking the blood and it jumps out of the thing and runs away, like that's part of it that's out there now. Like, they didn't burn that. Like,
yeah, that's a good point too. Because yeah, if it's one cell, I mean, in one drop of blood, how many millions of fucking cells are in that? I can't remember what it is. Like when you scratch your arm, you know, just like bare skin, you shed like fucking 500,000 cells, like every time you go up and down your arm. So yeah, this fucking thing's everywhere in that place.
Yeah, and that also kind of bugged me when they found Blair's underground UFO that he had built in the last 45 to 50 minutes. It's like, what the fuck?
Just stripping like a battery out of a helicopter and like a couple pieces of aluminum and like some siding, and he's got a fucking UFO.
I will say my favorite, or maybe the only part of the movie that actually like scared me or startled me was when they're going through all the underground shit and then Blair shows up and fucks that dude up.
Oh, where he puts his fingers and it starts going into his fucking face. Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
That part rules.
Yeah, I saw this movie. Fuck, I had to have been. Shit, dude, I had to have been 10 when I first saw this.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, my grandma. That's
a wildly different experience.
Yeah. My grandma had a bunch of movies on VHS. Because my grandfather owned. I mean, he was a VCR and TV repairman, so like they were kind of early adopters into that. So like they had a pretty big VHS collection, and like I went in completely blind in this. Just saw the cover, like, oh, this looks pretty cool, and just watched that, and just blew my fucking tits off.
Dude, I can only imagine being 10 with the stomach, the fucking
oh my god, dude, the defibrillator,
scene.
Like my heart like jumped out of my chest. Yeah. So yeah,
because I remember I saw that the first time I was like 23, and I was like, "Oh god damn!" Like you don't expect that at all. And luckily I hadn't ruined it from like access to like internet and clips and everything. Like now I feel like it's super hard like to avoid, because people they'll stitch it up and they'll put it in like a short, you know, and it's like really easy to like catch shit like that. But yeah, that part's very freaky. You know what? This time I was thinking the part that fucking fucked me up was when Windows comes back in the room. So Bennings, the dude, so we'll call the poor man's Louis C.K., the red hair fella.
The first guy that turns,
yeah, when he's in that room and he's doing something, and then Windows, the guy with the afro and is always wearing the sunglasses, he leaves him there for a second, and then it pans to like the blood fucking drip, like this crazy viscous fucking, it looks like transmission fluid coming out of this fucking body. And then he leaves for a second. When he comes back, and you see this Bennings fella and his shirt's off, and he's just sitting in a chair, and he's got the tentacles all around him, and his eyes are like rolled in the back of his head, and he's just all like in the like throes of getting assimilated. And Windows is just like, fucking drops the keys and runs. Like that part got me. And when it shows him and he just does that fucking Like, and he's got all the fucked up hands. Like,
yeah.
that shit's fucking creepy as shit. Like, can you imagine, like, if you're in that position, the thing fucking just looks up at you like a human and goes like, like squawks at you? Fuck.
Yeah, the movie's extremely nihilistic. Like, they are fucked from the second that shit pops off. Like, there's no way any of them are getting out of there.
That was one of the knocks I saw too. Like, people mention like how aggressively like nihilistic and like without hope that this story was, and that was like used as a knock against the movie, like it being bad or like without merit somehow, because it was so cold and like stark, like uncaring, like this is the universe like not giving a fuck about you, and like human sensibilities, but
that's how the world works.
Right.
It doesn't give a fuck about you.
Right.
Yeah, that's the whole crux of cosmic horror. That's kind of where the horror aspect comes. I mean, it's all Lovecraft and
the lucky die first.
Yeah, seriously. Like some of the ways like you could go out if there's some kind of eldritch creature fucking thing, like God, dude, that's assimilated how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of other species, and like it's just happened to crash land on your planet and you're just fucked because it's like its intelligence level's got to be like off the charts, and like just all the wild shit it can do. Like, yeah, I would definitely want to be fucking peacing out first and fast as possible. Oh yeah, one aspect of this I wanted to point out too. I was watching like a vlog or like a video essay on this, and I thought, I mean, it bears repeating, like the amount of like physical, like labor intensive, like with all the practical effects, like the work that went in behind all of this, I thought was pretty remarkable. So like that Rob Bottin fella, who's like the visual effects supervisor, head honcho, at the age of 23, 24, he was working like a better part of a year. I saw like 14 months, 7 days a week, fucking 14 hours a day. It said he had to be hospitalized at one point for exhaustion. And I mean, he looked like a pretty like in shape, like healthy dude, you know, just grinding his ass off. Said he slept in the studio a lot of the time just to make sure that he was there in time to get things done. And like some of the scenes, like probably one of the most intensive ones was that defibrillator scene. It had like anywhere between 30 and 40 people with like hydraulics, like presses, cables, blood, all the shit. And that's the filming.
Just that scene, yeah.
That's not going into like making all of the shit and testing it to make sure it works. And like I was thinking about it from like a process standpoint, like everything, like all the benchmarks you have to hit and like things that you have to test just for this 2-minute scene, you know, for you to be able to digest and watch. Ooh, that freaked me out. But like how much like blood, sweat, and tears went into the making of this film, I thought was pretty fucking rad, and bears, you know, people taking into account for, you know, I mean, people that do CGI and VFX, they get worked hard too in a different way. But like here, that when they didn't have that option to even touch things up, and everything's got to be practical for the most part, it seems like such a daunting scale.
It's a lost art for sure. Like, and CGI has it's not easy to make, and it has its struggles and challenges, but movies now, I feel like, miss something because I guess like restriction breeds creativity. Like with CGI, you literally can do anything. Like you can literally put anything on the screen. There was something about movies back then where it was like, okay, we have to make this shit like out of something and like make it work. So like it definitely creates a lot more restrictions, but I feel like it creates for a lot more creativity too. And that fucking scene is so crazy because you got the first of all, the mouth fucking opens up bites the dude's hands off. It transforms. It's crawling on the ceiling. They burn that. The fucking head falls off. The eyes spread out. And it just keeps going. It's crazier and fucking crazier.
Yeah, even like the transfer from like the first head, the original head, ripping off and all that green shit.
Yeah.
And then sliding down and becoming the spider. Like that whole part, I mean, is crazy in and of itself. But then, yeah, you have the chest and then the spider octopus thing that's like up in the rafters, or like up around the vent system. Yeah, it's like corralling all of that chaos but making it look good and like flow. Like it just seems such a crazy hard task to pull off. Excuse me.
And all that hard work, and then imagine like some snobby critic being like, "Isn't that good?" Like just reading that would fucking drive me crazy.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah,
perfect lead in to our friend, some dog shit reviewer named Josh Larson from Larson on Film. He says, "Reading this as a..." You're going to want to listen to this because this doesn't make any sense. He gave it a 2 out of 4, and he says, "Reading this as a Cold War allegory is doing the movie a very big favor. In reality, this is a film about tentacles and teeth and eyes and orifices and goo, goo, goo."
Oh God!
Is that an old review? That's a.
I don't know.
At the time?
No. I think it's actually from the last
contemporary.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God! Get fucked, guy.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
The use of 3 goos right there is a hell-worthy trespass, I think.
How could this be a Cold War allegory?
I mean, I've seen the communist hidden amongst us. I mean, there are a couple different allegories I've seen people make for this movie, and it works on all those levels. It's not, I don't think it's explicit in the movie, but I've seen a couple people compare it to the AIDS epidemic. Actually, was it the Blank Check podcast? They did an episode on it, and they had their guest was trans, and they were saying, I've always seen this as almost like a trans allegory, and me hearing that, I've seen this movie so many times, I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, here we go. I'm like, how is this going to tie into that? And then they actually had a really interesting viewpoint on it, because they're like, yeah, because as someone who is LGBTQ, you look like everybody else from the outside, but you're secretly different on the inside. And it's something where if some people find out that you are actually not the same as them, they will fucking kill you. And so I was like, oh shit, I've never thought about it like that. I guess I could fucking see that. Yeah. But I thought that was interesting. Yeah, there's a bunch of different allegories and, parallels and stuff you can draw from this movie. It's not explicitly in there, but it's there if you want it.
Yeah, it's a weird comparison because the monster deserves to be killed, and as an ally of the trans community, I don't think those people deserve to be killed. So,
hey man, it's just trying to survive. It's not doing it on. There's actually, it's funny because there's actually a short story. I haven't read this one, but it's called Things, and it's written from the perspective of the creature. And I haven't read it, but the whole thing is like, it's just trying to survive, and all these people are trying to fucking burn it. And it's like these weird fucking like humanoid monkeys that they're all individual organisms, and they don't, work together and stuff. And I'm trying to assimilate them and, create order, and they're all trying to fucking burn me.
Yeah. I'm trying to show them a better way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. I guess you could, if you frame it a certain way, you could really talk yourself into anything. I mean, because what if you were the thing and you're just trying to fucking get by, and like all the scary manifestations and the grotesque shit is like, that's normal to you, but to you and me seeing this, it's like, burn this fucking demon, like get it the fuck out of here.
mean, yeah, that's literally the purpose of life for every living being on the planet is to just propagate, survive, and recreate. So,
With that, I wanted to share a picture real quick of Rob Bottin because this shit just fucking had me dying. Dude. I don't know if you're ready for this.
It's been a while since I've seen any pictures of him.
Look at that motherfucker's hair.
God damn.
That dwarfs, like, picture Kurt Russell. He's got a pretty feathered fucking, like...
Yeah. Audio podcast.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Anybody look up Rob Bottin and, like, The Thing, it'll show him in the 80s, something like from 1982. And also...
And this guy's how old?
He is
like 20 something.
23
No.
in this photo. Yes.
No.
He's 23. This is because they interviewed him. This is an interview, and I watched it about The Thing in 1982. He was born in 1959. So this is 60, 82, 20, 23. Good California boy.
Yeah, he also did the special effects for the werewolf in The Howling. The motherfucker could have just stood in for it. Like he
They just have the dude and they just swap him out completely.
Yeah.
It's like that's the transformation.
You gotta call it a day.
Yeah, when I saw this interview, I was like, "Oh, damn, that's Rob Bottin." Okay, and I was like, "He's 43, divorced, has 3 kids."
He got kicked out of ELO, so now he's just doing music.
Yeah, dude.
Jesus
he puts
Christ.
like any 80s like metal hair band to shame. Like just that's like a helmet going on. But
yeah,
anyway,
it's pretty epic.
I wanted to inject a little levity because that just fucking had me bowled over. Yeah, he's done a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
And like the like RoboCop.
Yeah.
The other dude that was in this, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Dean Cundy was the director of photography, who we talked about he did The Fog. He's often a John Carpenter collaborator. They're pals.
Yeah, he went on to some big stuff. Jurassic Park, Back to the Future.
Yeah, heavy hitter for sure. Go ahead. Sorry.
Have you seen the prequel?
I did, and I think I'm in the minority that really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot, and I felt like it. I mean, I'm not as I like practical. I love practical effects. I think they're great, but I'm not a purist when it comes to like I'm an easy fucking pushover when it comes to like show me something cool CGI. I can totally buy it. Unless it's just like cheese, dog shit. Like just even like decently done CGI, there's cool shit going on. I'm totally fine. Like my wife is a fucking pure, like she'll see something and her trademark is she'll be like, "Oh, fucking green screen." Like she just like she hates anything CGI. I'm kind of indifferent to like I don't give a fuck, but so I think that's easier for me to see past because I know a lot of people had a problem with how much CGI they used in the prequel thing from 2011.
Yes.
But with that said, I in later years when I found out that there was supposed to be a lot more practical and they were going to lean into it, then I'm like, yeah, that does kind of suck because I would have liked to see modern day wizardry sticking to, because I mean there's a lot of shit that's I feel like practical is also kind of hitting a resurgence. Like people are getting overloaded on like just the fucking the levels of CGI and like how wild it's fucking going.
Right.
Like I feel like that's got to contract at some point too. And there's stuff like recent is like Psycho Gorman. I thought was awesome, really cool fucking and that's the same guy, one of the guys that did The Void, which I'm a huge Void evangelist too, and that's like I think that's 80-90% practical. except for like some of the end shots when you get into their home world or whatever. But yeah, like that. And those guys, I think it's like Steven Kostanski and one other dude. And they're like, you know, they were inspired by these guys like Rob Bottin and The Thing and all these practical features, you know?
Yeah.
So I definitely like that. And I was a little bit more bummed out, but I don't know. I really like Winstead.
Oh yeah.
In the prequel, I think she really carries it.
She's good in everything.
Yeah, she's rad.
Yeah, I don't hate it as much as some people do. It's definitely got some good parts to it. It's got some interesting stuff too, like how they substitute the blood test for checking for people's fillings in their teeth. So if you have any metal in your body, they can't reproduce it. So they kind of figure out like if they can check everybody's fillings and see if they have any metal in their teeth, they can tell if they're actually them or the thing because they can't reproduce that. But I thought that was pretty cool. It had some good stuff in it. There was a planned sequel. I don't remember when this was supposed to come out. It was supposed to be made for TV. It's supposed to be on Sci-Fi Channel. It might have been like early 2000s, but it was gonna be like a mini series. And I forget how it gets out of the Antarctic, but it ends up in Nevada.
Oh shit.
Yeah, there's a podcast called The Best Movies Never Made, and they go over like just that movies that were, you know, from production but never actually got made. And the two guys are screenwriters, so they have connects in the industry, so they're able to get like guests on.
Nice.
Who kind of either worked on it or in some capacity or like, you know, involved with it. But yeah, they kind of went over the script for the proposed sequel, and it had some pretty interesting ideas. It had some pretty gnarly scenes in it too, from what I remember. Like I think it starts out as a rabbit, and it transfers over to a dog, and then a little girl, and then like and like damn. I think the first scene they describe where it shit pops off is I think a guy is I might be fucking this up, but I think a guy is planning to propose to his girlfriend. And
nice.
He gets down on one knee, proposes to her, and she fucking opens up and like fucking eats him or something. Like
that'd be pretty fucking rad.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah, but apparently it gets it got pretty crazy. But yeah, I remember that seemed pretty cool.
Did any of that get rolled into the game? Because I was aware of the game that they made, and like people had celebrated or they thought it told a good story.
The PS2 game is a sequel as well. I think it came out before they were talking about the sequel, the miniseries, or maybe they came out at the same time. It came out on PS2. It was like 2001, 2002, something like that. And I was really young, so I never actually played it. But yeah, people like the video game. I think it takes place on the Antarctic. The rescue team actually shows up, and they find they're trying to figure out what happened to Kurt Russell and everybody. And I think Kurt Russell ends up surviving and showing up at the end of the game and like helping you kill it and all this. But yeah, I heard people really like the video game. I've watched some playthroughs of it. I never actually played it myself, but
yeah, neither did I. I was only aware of it vaguely. Yeah, dude, that'd be crazy. A setup to like it infect like a little girl and have someone like real like super innocuous like that. That could be a good setup for a jump scare or hopping out unexpected and like that being an intro point. Yeah, I think that like the prequel was done really well, but there was some problems that I had with it too about like the continuity. I feel like it was kind of at odds with what it's setting up a little bit. But I mean, if you're wanting to scratch the itch and go back to this setting, like I think it's perfectly serviceable. But I wouldn't go out of my way to say you must watch it.
Also, the problem with the prequel is they make the thing way too powerful. Like every time it transforms, it is so fucking deadly and fast and quick. It can fucking take out, if it wanted to, it could decimate everybody in that fucking camp in like 2 seconds flat. Like every time it transforms, it is just chopping people up left and right. And in this, the original, like it's vulnerable. Like it can do some damage, but it takes a long time for it to change shape. It's vulnerable, so like it has to stay hidden. There's no fucking reason it has to stay hidden in that prequel. Like it transforms and it fucking just. It's like just destroying buildings and shit. Like, it's like, why is this staying hidden? It could just fuck everybody up in like 3 seconds. Like,
yeah, I think that's part of like the time that it was made. It was like they had to like Fast and Furious it a little bit.
Yeah,
you know,
like
be
more intense, bigger, faster. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because if it had that kind of strength in the original, like they would have been done instantly. Yeah. I mean, it gets bodied pretty fucking hard in the thing multiple times. Like gets its ass kicked. But yeah, the prequel, it is fucking OP for sure. It's fucking the scene where it shows you. I thought it was cool, more like in an Easter egg kind of gee whiz kind of way, because some of the shit that you see, Steve, in this the thing, the OG, like that body where it's like two heads like nerfed together, that they autopsy, like it shows you how that came to be, you know, like, and that scene's pretty fucking wild. But I would say the CG probably looks the roughest, the most like rubbery, and kind of like takes you out of it a little bit. But yeah, I would be remiss too, because we're trying to stitch this together. So we're going to follow this with Prince of Darkness, and then followed by In the Mouth of Madness. So I was only
are y'all doing all three?
We're going to do all three.
Oh, hell yeah. Nice.
So, and I'd only become aware of this pretty recently, like that it's like a loose assemblage of a trilogy. It's called the Apocalypse Trilogy. And it's kind of a unique one in that it wasn't like planned, I don't think, or maybe Carpenter did have the idea, but it seemed like he maybe in parallel, or maybe after the fact, the dust had settled, like he had decided on like, yeah, this is part of my like self-proclaimed Apocalypse Trilogy. And it's unique in that there's no carryover. It's only like from looking at like the themes of each of the flicks and how they comprise like this Apocalypse Trilogy. I'm going to put it in the show notes, but there's a really good write-up about it by a person named Oren Gray, that I think he did in like the late 90s, early 2000s, that talks about like the thematic, the connection between the three films. But I mean, I guess the one common through line is like they're exploring like different channels or avenues of the apocalypse. Like this is one scenario, like when Blair runs that thing, it's like, you know, full assimilation if it gets out in like 27,000 hours or something, which I can't remember what the fuck that was. It was like 9 years. What is that? Something like that. No,
it was like 3 months.
Yeah. It's super quick. Yeah,
I'm an idiot. And then, you know, we'll get into it. Like Prince of Darkness is in a different form. And then the last one, In the Mouth of Madness, kind of is like a mind trip. It kind of makes you wonder, like, you know, if it was a foregone conclusion, or if like you're already dead, or if you're already in some like parallel dimension watching all this unfold. So
don't spoil it.
Yeah. Well, dude, I don't even know if I could spoil In the Mouth of Madness if I wanted
trippy.
to.
Yeah, it's trippy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah. Is there anything else that you guys? I know, Steve, I've been between me and Miles. You haven't been able to get a word in edgewise. Did you have any notes or things that struck you about your first watch of the thing, or things you enjoyed the most?
I'm happy to defer to the experts. There was one little piece of trivia that I read that it became a trivia for British people stationed down there in Antarctica to watch the thing every year.
Oh, it's like a rite of
Nice.
passage type thing.
That would scare the fuck out of me if I was down there.
Fuck that.
Yeah. It's definitely it's been too warm the past couple of years, but it was definitely something where I would plan my first watch whenever it first snowed here.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Get in the mood.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to add. Oh, this time around, I've seen this movie so many goddamn times. I was trying to find something different, like a different viewing experience. I have the collector's edition, like the 3-disc set, and on the 3rd disc, and buried in the special features, is the network television version of this. So it's the edited for TV version.
Nice.
So I'd never seen it, so I checked that out. It's fucking terrible.
Really?
it's bad. So one, it was really cool because they didn't bother remastering that. It's like a VHS quality, so that was kind of nostalgic. But it is edited for like fucking NBC. So like one, it's like 18 minutes shorter because they cut so much goddamn stuff out. They're on network TV, so they cannot show gore. So every scene of gore is cut out. So you barely see the creature. Like you have them reacting to it, and it might cut to it for a second, but like it's just completely gone. Other than that, you only see them reacting and like burning it and stuff. And like you might see 1 or 2 shots of like the actual fucking special effects. And other thing that was weird about it. It has a narrator. They add a narrator to it. So at the beginning of because I know Steve had mentioned he had a hard time, and for years I also did. I mean, I only know because I've seen it so many times, but it is kind of hard to figure out who's who and like kind of differentiate everybody from everybody else. And I guess they figured that was a problem with it. So in the network TV version, they actually have a narrator at the beginning of the movie where every time like when a new character shows up, like at the very beginning, he introduces them, gives them their name, their job, and like a backstory for them. So like you have because they never talk about their lives before, where they're at, or like what led them there. It gives you all of the characters' backstory. It sounds really fucking corny, and it is. But I mean, if you've seen the movie a bunch of times, it can maybe give you some information you didn't realize. Or like, oh, that's where how Kurt Russell got here. But other than that, I wouldn't suggest watching it. They also, it's like it's dumbed down. They also do ADR where they have somebody standing in for the characters to add dialogue when there's moments of silence in case people are like confused as to what's going on. Like it gets really goofy in some spots. Like
over here, open the door.
Yeah, shit like that. Yeah. Like when it first transforms from the dog, and they put it on fire, they set it on fire, and then they come with the fire extinguishers. You don't need to explain. You don't need them to explain why they're putting the fire out. It's a fucking burning building. Like they're in a building. Like they don't want the building to catch on fire. But like that scene where they go to put it out, they just add a line of dialogue where he goes, "I have to see what's here," and puts the fire. Like, what the fuck? What do you? Like, it's so fucking unnecessary. That part where is it the character's name is it Fuchs? And, and Kurt Russell,
one of the other
they're in the is it a snowplow? And he's kind of going. He finds Blair's notes and he goes, "Look, there's somewhere they kind of figure out they're fucked." And he goes, like he mentions in that conversation that he has Blair's notes. But for some reason, they fucking ADR a thing where they get in the thing and he goes, "I have Blair's notebook." And like, obviously. And then there's awesome. Like the very end of that scene, like him and Kurt Russell are kind of sitting there, and there's like, it's not long. There's like a second and a half of silence before it cuts to the next scene. And for some reason, they just cram a line in there where he goes, and Blair's our very respected scientist. It's like, for fucking, it's so funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking like, fuck, it was the same thing. I remember when I think TNT or like TBS had gotten the rights to like Pulp Fiction in like the late 90s or something. And it was like a commercial and it was like, and this Saturday featuring, Pulp Fiction on the Superstation. And I was like, what? It's going to be like 5-minute movie.
Yeah.
Like there's so much fucking cursing. Like I would think the same thing of this. Like they would have to chop this movie in half with all the fucking gore and like It's wild.
Yeah. It's a fun exercise to go on YouTube because these have all been uploaded at this point to find like a movie with a lot of cursing in it and find the TV version on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
They have all the fucking Die Hard, Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Yeah. That one's great. I think my favorite is Monster Joker from Motherfucker.
Yep.
That's an awesome one.
Yeah.
I think they did that one for a couple movies, but one they did it for Dazed and Confused when Ben Affleck is like, he's like, hey, did you hear what this little motherfucker's mom did to me? Pulled a shotgun on me. It's like, you hear what this little Monster Joker's mom did to me?
Monster Joker.
Awesome.
Oh, shit.
It's like, how do you even think of that?
Right.
Monster Joker. Any hoodles. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad you like this one, Steve. We finally put old Duarte to pasture. Got it off your list.
Is it better than Orca?
No.
That's the question.
Holy shit.
Damn.
This is some sick shit. Y'all just about to get sicker.
Oh,
That
I
is
respect it.
Bold claim. Fucking
You get a
bold.
very angry email from some director next week. Not named Bob.
Bring
Yeah,
it. Bring it.
it'll be John Carpenteria or Carpenter.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. I thought I had another piece of trivia about this.
Safe to say this is the best episode of a podcast that's ever covered the thing.
Oh yeah,
Everybody,
for sure.
yeah. I'd say everybody else can just pack it up.
Yeah. No need to cover this one. We got it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the one thing is like the fact that Knowles, the cook, he just like goes away. He just
At the
disappears.
end, yeah.
I guess that they had plans for like his death scene or like, but it was too costly, or like they had gotten to a point in filming where there's like, fuck it, he died of exposure.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I remember reading that because he does.
This
disappear.
time I watched for it and I was like, yeah, sure as shit. It's like all the commotion and Blair's underground and like the dynamite and the face, the hand going into the face, all right around there. He just kind of like, he does the Homer Simpson
into
back
the bushes.
into the fucking bush. Like, later. I always like Knowles too, because I used to have a pug named Nala and I always called her Knowles. So I had like an autistic like connection point with him in this. So Knowles. All right. Well, I think that's going to put the old thing to bed. Yeah, there's so much good analysis and like different, like I've seen some of the Red Scare stuff, which is interesting, but I'm going to put it in the show notes. This dude, Oren Gray. And then there's another guy. I was watching a couple vlogs or video essays of, it's like collative learning. I think his name is Rob Ager.
Yeah. He's got some
British
good stuff.
dude.
He's a little long-winded sometimes, but I really like his analysis.
Yeah, he definitely can be, but he fucking he's dialed in to his shit. Like he slices and dices
He's
pretty good. So I might put one in the show notes too for further reading. If this was a first time or you haven't seen this very very many times and are intrigued more, there's people that can elucidate much further.
I'll just add an apostrophe.
Thank you again, Miles, for coming on and joining us, bearing with us through the thing. Glad to have you on. We'll have to have you back sometime in the near future as well, if you're
definitely.
down.
Anytime.
We haven't had a guest to ask this before, and Steve's a real stick in the mud about fucking celebrating things. Are you a big costume guy, and are you dressing up for Halloween this year?
I I'm not a big costume guy, but I want to dress up this year. I dressed up last year. Speaking of Kurt Russell, I was
That's
Snake
right.
Plissken. Yeah.
Yes, that was pretty badass, man. That was on point.
It was the cheapest costume I could put together from things on Amazon for less than $50. But yeah, no, I haven't planned anything this year. I might want to get something together, but it's fun. It was the first time I dressed up. Well, no, I dressed up in 2020 too. Kinda. I was Michael Myers because I had a yeah.
You went into like your intro for a jiu-jitsu match. As Michael Myers.
I had a jiu-jitsu match. Yeah,
Talk about intimidation factor.
I had a Brazilian jiu-jitsu match at a charity event for Tap Cancer Out, and most jiu-jitsu events, I mean, they're tournaments, so they're like, it's just a bunch of matches going on at once, but this was kind of just one match at a time, like you would walk out to a boxing fight or an MMA fight, so they let you pick your own song and everything, and I was like, I am not letting this opportunity go by. So I came out in a full Michael Myers costume and had the Halloween theme playing. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. And I was like, dude, if I get my ass kicked, I'm gonna look like a fucking asshole. But thankfully I won, so.
Dude, please tell me there's video of that, please.
Oh yeah. There's video. Yeah,
yes, I'll
have to send it to you guys.
Yeah, I remember when it happened on the Slack channel. He shared it and was like, "Dude, that is boss." But yeah, you're dancing with the devil there, because if you do get fucking beat, it's like, God damn it.
Yeah,
but yeah, that is, dude. I wouldn't want to face you just looking at you in general, but then seeing you pull a Michael Myers mask off and then fucking getting ready to fucking wrestle. Jesus Christ. No thanks. Cool.
I want to see that video so goddamn bad. I can't even tell you.
Yeah, I will send it. Yeah.
We'll make it happen. Yeah, I think I'm pretty big into dressing up for even before I had kids, if I'm being real, but ever since I've had kids, like it's become like a de facto, like we do like a all matching, we do like a theme. Like one year we did Hocus Pocus and I was Kathy Najimy on the vacuum cleaner witch from, you've never seen Hocus Pocus, have you fucking asshole? You should watch it this year. It's fun.
Nope.
Just get a good fade on and have fun.
Haven't seen it. Don't care.
I mean, it's very much a movie for kids, but a couple of years ago, me and my ex, she didn't watch it growing up, and so I was like, oh, we could check it out, and she enjoyed it. I hadn't seen it in years. It is a kids movie, but it's not bad. It holds up okay.
It's got charm.
Yeah, it's charming. Yeah.
So yeah. Dude, one year I was like, my daughter was on a big 101 Dalmatians kick, so I dressed up as a fucking dog, and I painted my face white, like pure, like white as the driven snow, and put black dots on my face and my nose. I had a big old Dalmatian suit with ears and everything. So yeah, we're all in. This year the themes, because they just went and saw not too long ago when the live action Little Mermaid came out. My daughter's obsessed with all things Little Mermaid right now, so we're doing that. But we get the dogs involved. The two dogs are going to be the electric eels, Flotsam and Jetsam. One will be a crab. I'm going to be King Triton. Dude, not last year, the year before, my wife dressed up because she was pregnant at the time. She dressed up as Danny DeVito from Batman Returns as the Penguin.
The Penguin?
And she fucking nailed
awesome.
it, dude. It was pretty intense.
That's too good.
Because she was like 7 months pregnant. She was fucking round, buddy. Like, so it just, because Danny DeVito's a ball in that movie. Like, he's a ball with like these little spindly legs, so it like worked out perfect. She found like the old like dingy, like with the ass flap, like long johns that he wears, and that like weird like fucking tuxedo cummerbund fucking flap thing that piano players wear or whatever. Like, yeah, she went in. So yeah, we like to have a good time with it. It was funny. Last year we did Ghostbusters. My son, who's a pudgy little bastard, he was the Stay Puft Man, and today he was eating, and he's super fat right now. And my daughter was like, he's like, she's like, Bubba, you could just be Stay Puft this year without the costume. I was like, that's kind of low key fucked up, but he's like a great Michelin man. Like, he looks like he's got rubber bands like every 6 inches on his arm, like, and legs just like fucking doughed up from the toes up. All right. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for us. So next week we're continuing on the Apocalypse trilogy. We're going to have Chris back from Mount Molehill to discuss Prince of Darkness from 1987, another Carpenter joint. It is actually on Peacock Premium right now. That's the only place it's streaming. But yeah, check it out if you haven't. Check it again. Check it out again if you have. I like it a lot. I'm probably one of the in the minority. It's a little long and it's not as highly revered as in Carpenter's catalog, but I don't think, at least. But where are you at with Prince of Darkness?
Great in concept. I think it's a little lacking in the actual movie itself. I'd say it's mid-tier Carpenter for me. Honestly, out of all of the movies they've remade of his that never did need to be remade, I could see somebody doing this one a little bit better, just because it has some crazy concepts in it.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, this one could be right if it were in the right hands, for sure. Right on. Man, it just made me think, I don't know why, of that part in Red Letter Media when Rich Evans and Jay are reviewing all of Carpenter's flicks. And he rates something ridiculous higher, and Jay points it out, and he's like, so you're going with that for number 5 above Halloween. I think it was vampires, maybe.
Oh, God, yeah. Jesus Christ. That man is a menace.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Maybe we'll get to vampires one day. I see shit all the time now. I just saw fucking clickbait like why John Carpenter's Vampires is secretly great. I'm like,
it's
no,
not. It's not. No, it's not.
You are fishing. So, all right. We've had some hate-worthy moments, I believe. So, save those up. Send them on over to wax@waxingtheporpoise.com.
Yep.
Or if you want to reach out to us on either of our socials, Instagram is @waxingtheporpoise. Twitter, X is @waxingtheporp. Any final thoughts, fellas?
Nope.
All good on my end.
Word. Well, thanks again, Miles. Appreciate you having you on. And we will be back next week. Thanks, gang. We'll see you when we see you. And we will see you later. Take us out, Prestige.